Midnight settles over a flood-carved valley under U.S. control. The convoy holds position in blackout. 6 vehicles aligned on the gravel floor. Engines idle low. Exhaust drifting sideways through cold air. Steam rises from the downed helicopter ahead, its rotor blades bent into the dirt. The crash site sits under 100 yards from the forward vehicle. No light beyond the trucks. Only night vision glow and the quiet hum of comms discipline. Captain Erin Hale stands by her command MRAP, hand on the radio lead. She operates under Marine authority but answers to a remote battalion operations center 40 miles away. Every transmission moves through that channel first. Her liability is total. Personnel, recovery assets, and whatever remains of the aircraft. One wrong call, and the chain of custody fractures. Signal integrity drops again. The air carries burnt metal and faint hydraulic oil. Hale adjusts the radio connector, glove stiff with cold. The channel hisses, then stabilizes. She keeps her voice level, waiting for confirmation that never comes. Visibility falls under 100 yards. Rotor wash rolls across gravel and her radio pops once. She watches thermal outlines flicker across her scope. Wreckage, motionless. Heat, fading by the minute. Each second logged. Each sound marked. Command channel cuts to static. They said stand down. The wind moves through open terrain. Engines keep idling. Authorization still pending. Engines idle low while authorization stalls. This is the moment the record begins. One order waiting to break silence. The convoy holds in blackout posture. Engines idling low. Instruments cast faint green light across the cabin. Captain Hale studies the digital overlay, her route pulsing slow, each vehicle marked in sequence. A metallic ping echoes under the wind, then fades. The radio hum stays steady, waiting for higher to confirm. Signal steadies for now. Subscribe for verified missions. State your location in the comments and secure your feed. The valley sits 6 miles inside the floodplain, cut deep by years of runoff. No grid lights, no comm towers, only engine noise and the echo of distant thunder moving through low cloud. The convoy holds in blackout posture, headlights off, 6 vehicles aligned nose to tail, 4 MRAPs, 1 wrecker, 1 medical Humvee, engines idle low, exhaust drifting thin against the canyon walls. The digital clock on Hale's console reads 0257 hours. Valley perimeter, 0257 hours. Diesel engines idle low as thunder rolls through the valley. The ground is saturated but stable. Tires sink 1 inch into soft mud and stay there. Each operator inside their cab watches a green line pulse across a radio display, signal lagging half a second. Hale stands forward of the lead vehicle, helmet on, headset linked to both convoy and battalion tactical operations center 40 miles to the west. Her tone stays clipped and level, every order repeated back, every confirmation logged. Visibility falls under 100 yards. Her convoy spacing widens to 50 yards for maneuver. The drivers ease their foot off the brake and let the formation stretch along the valley floor. Hale's voice transmits through a secure frequency. Hold in line. Maintain blackout. Report all beacon activity. Her words carry the weight of immediate command but stop short of authority over the air domain. That remains under the talk. They track from distance, 40 miles of terrain and delay between their monitors and her field reality. Inside her cab, condensation blurs the windshield. She wipes it once with a glove, then flips on the map light. A waterproof notebook rests on the dash. Across the top line, in black grease pencil, she's written, Beacon ID, verify. The next line shows a number sequence matching the downed aircraft's locator. Her pen marks the last ping time, 2 hours, 21 minutes since the last confirmed transmission. Signal strength degrades on the secondary channel. Hale keeps her posture upright, headset balanced on the rim of her Kevlar. No outward emotion, only steady breathing as she tracks the flicker of data returning to her tablet. The beacon signal is faint but patterned, not random noise. A slow pulse. 4 seconds apart. She notes it, logs the timestamp, and relays through her secondary comm link. The reply from higher comes delayed copy. Last official log shows total loss. Continue verification. The voice is calm, distant, administrative. Air cover fuel clock shows 10 minutes remaining. Above, a transport bird banks out of view, its rotor noise fading down the valley line. The air support rotation ends at 0300 hours sharp. Hale glances to the sky once, then back to her display. The convoy's vulnerability window opens the moment the last aircraft clears the ridge. 10 minutes until she holds the valley without aerial overwatch. 10 minutes until her chain of custody becomes sole accountability. She adjusts her radio again and confirms fuel levels across all vehicles. Each driver responds in sequence, monotone but clear. Green, green, amber, green. The wrecker logs as yellow. She notes it. Convoy spacing opens to 50 yards for maneuver. The diesel engines drone into a single tone. Inside the medical Humvee, a corpsman runs diagnostics on his defib unit, power levels at 80%. He stows it and waits. Hale moves along the column, boots pushing shallow prints into slick mud. She stops beside the wrecker and leans to the driver's window. Hold until route confirmation. Your tail secure. The driver nods once. No conversation beyond procedure. No need for interpretation. Signal integrity stabilizes at 80%. The wind shifts and dust moves laterally across the valley floor. It coats the side panels of each MRAP in a thin film that dulls their reflectors. Hale returns to her vehicle, secures the door, and checks the thermal screen. The wreckage still emits low heat, but no open flame. Structural damage extends from nose to midsection. She magnifies the display until coordinates overlay the beacon readout. The pattern syncs. Same ID, same pulse rate, 4 seconds apart. Hale's voice remains even. Command, confirm last satellite verification time. A pause follows. Static folds into the line. When it clears, the same remote voice answers 0150 hours. Negative recent signal. No further action required until first light. The reply reads like a form field, not a conversation. Hale marks the timestamp, adds a note in her book. Command reads, signal as noise. Visibility fluctuates between 70 and 100 yards. She tilts her head, listening through the headset. Underneath the returning static, a brief spike. A separate tone, softer, not echo, but human frequency. She isolates it and checks the wavelength. It matches an emergency survival transmitter. Her shoulders stay level, voice unraised, reconfirming pulse pattern, repeating verification. She transmits the coordinates, then writes them manually. Every step creates record. Every word becomes traceable. Air cover fuel clock shows 5 minutes remaining. The 2C monitors the valley feed through intermittent uplink. Their interface shows storm interference, low visibility, and degraded range. To them, Hale's signals appear incomplete. To her, each data return shows more evidence that the aircrew are alive. The discrepancy lies in bandwidth, not truth. Her situational awareness compresses into the seconds between pulses. Signal quality drops to 60%. She reads through her logbook one more time, each line clean, no erasures, every mark dated. The hum of the generator mixes with the sound of thunder far off to the west. The MRAP beside her idles, its heat shimmer visible through the windshield. Dust rises and falls with each rotor gust overhead. Though the sky is now empty, Hale lowers the volume on her comms and listens to the terrain itself. The valley carries no echo. Sound dies within 200 yards. She records that too. Convoy comm discipline remains within standard. Inside the TOC, operators label her last beacon report, unconfirmed return. It's filed under low priority for morning review. Hale doesn't know this yet, but she senses the gap. The procedural rhythm above her is slowing while the rhythm on the ground accelerates. Her eyes move once more to the tablet. The next ping lands exactly where it should. Aligned, measurable, impossible to mistake for background interference. Visibility drops below 80 yards. She logs the hit, timestamps the return, and reads it aloud to the recorder. Signal ID confirmed, repeating on 4-second interval. Location unchanged. She pauses, waits for the talk response, but hears only static. Her jaw flexes once. No frustration. Only calculation. Each silence from command becomes another data point to preserve. Air cover fuel clock expires at 0300 hours. Now the convoy sits alone in the valley. Power lines hum faintly from a broken pole somewhere upslope. The men watch her through dim light, waiting for her next order. Hale keeps one glove resting on the map table, the other on the radio handset. The beacon tone repeats, weak, steady, unbroken. She exhales once through her nose and writes again in the notebook. Command treats signal as noise. Field verification continues. Signal strength drops to 40%. Her posture doesn't change. The convoy holds formation, discipline intact. The hum of diesel and thunder blend into one long note. She glances at her fuel clock. 90 minutes until convoy limit. She knows the mission's procedural endpoint, but not the moral one. Higher thinks the transmission is meaningless. She recognizes its rhythm as something else. The first fracture in the record has just opened. 0400 hours. The convoy holds in blackout, 6 miles inside the valley. Engines idle under strain, exhaust sliding low through cold air. The ground is wet and uneven. Rainwater pooled in tire ruts. Rotor fragments lie half buried in mud, their edges catching faint light from a single red filtered headlamp. Captain Erin Hale stands beside her command vehicle, headset wire tucked under her collar, voice low and deliberate. Every sentence begins and ends with confirmation. Every action logged. Visibility falls under 100 yards. Her convoy sergeant reports perimeter stable, motion sensors clear on the southern line. Hale acknowledges, then scans the ridge through night optics. Static edges her display. She adjusts focus and captures a faint return. Heat bloom behind broken rock. Not enough to classify. She tags it, saves coordinates, transmits the data packet. The Tactical Operations Center, 40 miles away, receives it at a delay of 8 seconds. Their return message arrives shorter. Threat window opening. Recovery postponed. She reads the words aloud for the recorder, marks the time, then writes in her waterproof logbook, order received. Stand by for further. Her handwriting remains even, the ink bleeding slightly from mist. Signal strength drops below 50%. Engines idle in sequence. The wrecker hums low at the rear, hydraulics tight against the cold. The medical Humvee sits center column, its interior light glowing faint blue through the slats. Hale checks her watch. 0403 hours. She switches frequencies, tests the secondary channel, waits through the hiss. A voice breaks through distortion. Command requests confirmation. Are you maintaining blackout? She answers. Affirmative. Full blackout. Perimeter secure. Then, quieter. Awaiting clearance to proceed. Secondary channel goes unreadable. The signal collapses into static again. She notes it. The sergeant steps close enough to speak without radio. Ma'am. Beacon still intermittent. Same pattern. 4 seconds apart. She nods once. Continue triangulation. Keep the team on internal comms only. She pivots to the tablet on her dash and reviews incoming pings. The pattern is consistent, weak, steady, living. She logs the data and marks the overlap with her manual notes. Every entry bears a timestamp and coordinate pair. Night insects fall silent as the radio hisses and then clears. The voice from higher repeats the instruction. Threat window closing. Abort recovery. The words sound procedural, not emotional. She copies them verbatim into the logbook, then reads back, acknowledged. Order logged 04/12:33 hours. Fuel clock reads 40 minutes remaining. The sergeant checks the gauge on the wrecker and reports low. Hale calculates burn rate against distance. The convoy can hold position for 1 hour before they must rotate vehicles for conservation. She sends the numbers to the TOC, attaching the same calculations in her data stream. The reply returns with a standard phrase, "Copy all. Maintain current. Nothing else." Signal latency increases to 12 seconds. She exhales once. Not frustration, only control. Her gloves squeak against the stylus as she inputs another note. Transmission delay worsening. Documented. The sky remains dark. No horizon yet visible. Moisture beads along her radio casing. In the distance, thunder rolls again, echoed by short pops from cooling metal at the wreck site. Hale's optics pick up 2 shapes near the downed fuselage. Motion, faint. Thermal, low. She zooms in, logs the frames, and stores them to local drive. Visibility drops to 75 yards. Her voice transmits clear over the internal net. All elements. Maintain position. Confirm data link active. 1 by 1. The drivers respond. 2, green. 3, green. 4, amber. 5, green. 6, green. She marks the sequence, underlines the third call sign, and flips to a clean page. The ink drags through damp paper but holds. Air cover fuel clock reads 10 minutes remaining. The last supporting aircraft circles above the valley ridge. Its navigation lights blink once, then fade behind cloud. Hale listens to the frequency carrying air operations. Nothing but an open tone. She sets her jaw and writes another line. Air support expiring. Visibility decreasing. Signal unstable. Signal strength drops below 40%. Inside the medical Humvee, the corpsman checks his supplies. He calls out softly through the open window. "Ma'am, battery life 6 hours. Vitals equipment stable." She nods. "Copy. Keep systems warmed." Her eyes track the hill again. The 2 heat signatures shift. Closer. Then still. Not animal movement. Not random. She captures another set of frames. Evacuation window shrinks by 8 minutes. The TOC sends new guidance stand-down recovery. Return route green at 0500. Hale receives it, reads it twice, and transcribes word for word. Her next action follows protocol. She records her own voice into the log device. Received withdrawal order. Field conditions remain active. Beacon returns consistent at 4-second interval. Logging for record. She doesn't argue. She documents. Fuel clock reads 25 minutes remaining. The convoy hums in synchronized rhythm, engines compressing heat against wet ground. Brake lights flicker briefly as drivers shift into neutral. The air smells of oil and cold iron. Hale's hands rest on the map table inside her MRAP, one gloved finger tracing the plotted route back to the perimeter. It's longer than the supply math allows. She knows it, but says nothing. Visibility falls under 60 yards. The sergeant walks up again, visor beaded with moisture. Movement at the ridge again. "Ma'am, not flanking. Stationary. Looks like another beacon." She lowers her optics and checks. Same signature strength, different origin point, almost in line with friendly approach routes. She compares it with archived patrol paths. The match is exact. Friendly transponder frequency. She notes the coordinates and circles them. Signal confirms misclassification. Hale toggles the channel to higher. Command. Re-verify threat data on East Ridge. Coordinates follow. She lists them, pauses, and waits for return. The voice comes slower this time. "Captain, those coordinates align with prior hostile report. Maintain posture." She writes that answer too. The sergeant watches her, waiting for instruction. She gives none yet. Fuel clock reads 15 minutes remaining. She continues her notes. Command confirms hostile classification despite friendly frequency overlap. The entry is factual, no analysis. Just record. She flips the tablet to show the sergeant the beacon graph. The peaks align perfectly with known IFF codes. He stares for a second, then looks back at her. She closes the screen and says quietly, "Documented." Secondary channel remains unreadable. Static swells through her headset, dropping in volume, returning in pulses. Hale reaches for the antenna cable, reseats it, listens again. No improvement. She keeps her tone flat, signal interference consistent, adjusting placement. She steps out, boots sliding slightly in mud, and repositions the antenna against the forward rack. The sound clears, just enough to transmit another log burst. Signal transmits with partial loss. The rain begins in fine mist, slanting under wind. It beads across her visor and the radio faceplate. Lightning flickers behind cloud, illuminating the ridge for half a second. She captures a still frame, noting two stationary forms near the wreckage. Her own image shakes slightly in the reflection. She logs it. Unidentified movement persists. Verification required. Visibility drops below 50 yards. She checks her watch again. 0440 hours. Less than 20 minutes to dawn. The TOC transmits a new statement. Threat proximity red. Abort recovery. Withdraw immediately. She reads it once, then places the logbook flat on her knee and writes the line, "Precisely as received." She reads her acknowledgement aloud. Copy. Order received. Ground posture unchanged. Pending confirmation of beacon source. Fuel clock reads 10 minutes remaining. The sergeant calls out quietly. Beacon pulse strengthening. "Ma'am, 2 returns now." She moves to the front of the column, kneeling beside the signal device mounted on the hood. The screen flashes twice. Steady rhythm. She verifies the timing with her watch. 4-second interval. Same as before. She records again. 2 active transmitters. Likely survivors. Command interpretation pending. Signal loss on primary uplink. The valley grows darker as the storm thickens. No rain sound now. Only static from the radios and the mechanical heartbeat of idling engines. Hale adjusts her earpiece and repeats her last report on backup channel. This time, no reply at all. She waits 30 seconds. Then, keys transmit again. Nothing. She writes, "Command unresponsive." Continuing documentation. Visibility falls under 40 yards. Her sergeant watches her. Face unreadable under helmet light. Orders still stand. "Ma'am." She meets his eyes once. "Yes." Maintain posture. Her tone remains procedural. She looks down at the tablet, scrolls through logs, and sees the data confirmation from 2 beacon IDs, both labeled as hostile by higher, both friendly signatures. She adds one final note. Conflict detected between live data and command classification. Signal degradation exceeds 70%. She closes the notebook, seals it under a plastic cover, and sets it beside her radio. The engines drone. The thunder moves closer. Every sound feels catalogued, every breath a measure of time. She waits for the next call from higher, but none arrives. Fuel clock reads 5 minutes remaining. Hale stands at the edge of the convoy, helmet light off, eyes adjusting to the ambient haze. The ridgeline flashes once from lightning, showing 2 silhouettes barely moving. She steadies the camera, logs 1 frame, and sets the system to continuous record. Her breathing remains even. She speaks once for the audio log procedure maintained, awaiting updated directive. Visibility down to 30 yards. A new tone cuts through the static. Half a signal. Fragmented. Undecodable. It repeats twice, then dies. Hale stares at the tablet, its screen showing red indicators where the uplink should be green. She writes again in the final margin of her page. Network loss. Operational status uncertain. Engines idle low while control hangs in balance. This is the last moment before the system breaks. Dawn filters across the valley in cold gray light. The fog holds low over the floodplain, moving in slow ribbons between the vehicles. Captain Erin Hale stands beside her command MRAP, headset clipped to collar, tablet balanced on the hood. The engines idle at low power. Moisture beads on metal and drips to the ground. Her breath clouds once, then fades into the static of open comms. She reviews every log entry timestamps, sensor pings, command transmissions. Each line carries her handwriting, each number its own proof. Transmission feed remains stable at 70%. The radio channel clears long enough for her to request data confirmation. She transmits packet 1 through the vehicle uplink, routing across 3 secure nodes. The network lag reads 8 seconds, acceptable margin. A faint tone marks successful authentication. Her eyes trace the checksum values. Everyone matches. She adds a note to the log integrity verified. Around her, the convoy crew maintains perimeter discipline. Nobody speaks above engine noise. Hale works methodically, connecting the external cable from the tablet to the comms array mounted behind the cab. Dust shifts in the pale light as she tightens the link and initiates live feed. Data stream uplink confirmed across 3 secure nodes. Her voice carries evenly into the radio. Convoy command transmitting recovery log to operations feed. Priority 1 verification. No filter. She releases the mic. Waits. Then hears the static lift. A different tone answers. Formal. Measured. Captain Hale. Your feed is visible at higher. Hold position. She notes the exact second of reception 0453 hours. She knows what comes next. Holding position means freezing all motion, but the wounded at the crash site remain exposed. Hale presses record on her local drive and speaks clearly into the device. Operational risk acknowledged. Continuing recovery. She keys the field command net. All elements prepare stretcher lift. Maintain light discipline. Convoy spacing tightens to 40 yards. The fog starts to thin as dawn edges in. Shapes of vehicles emerge, gray against gray. The medics move with controlled speed, bodies low, eyes shielded from the first light. Hale watches through optics. The litter team reaches the downed fuselage, secures the 2 wounded air crew, and signals ready. She switches back to higher channel. Command. Recovery initiated. Medical extraction proceeding. The silence that follows lasts 3 full seconds. Then the operations duty officer replies, "Proceed at your discretion." Captain, it's not approval. It's transfer of risk. She writes it word for word in the log, underlines the phrase, then closes the notebook. Fuel margin now 12 minutes. Her tone doesn't change. All elements execute recovery plan. Maintain minimal sound. Prepare for route green. The convoy pivots into extraction formation. Engines hum low but steady, exhaust pluming in brief white clouds. Hale crouches beside the communications relay, eyes on the uplink indicator. The data bar continues to pulse, steady, reliable, carrying every recorded entry from the night. She confirms duplication to the battalion archive. Redundant copy mirrored to 2 secondary systems. Transmission mirrored, she says quietly to herself, marking the moment. Evacuation signal acknowledged at higher. She stands, checks her weapon sling, and adjusts the mic cord. The medic calls over internal comms package secure. Loading now. She answers. Copy. Maintain route spacing. Forward element lead at my mark. Her tone stays level, free of inflection. The first MR app rolls forward, treads pressing wet gravel into shallow grooves. A faint metallic echo bounces off the ridge, then dies as the sound diffuses through fog. Hale signals second vehicle to follow. Move slow. Maintain 40-yard distance. Transmission latency reduced to 6 seconds. Inside the operations center 40 miles away, the live feed displays her coordinates, radio logs, and timestamps cross-referenced with terrain data. The screen confirms what her reports already prove. The original threat marker was misclassified, friendly movement tagged as hostile. The operations duty officer hesitates, then types a single line into the shared record. Threat data correction acknowledged. Hale doesn't see the entry yet, but she hears the change in tone across the net. A new voice. Quieter. Procedural. Captain Hale. Your transmission is verified. Continue extraction. Transmission verified. 0458 hours. Heartbeat monitors pulse through open comms while a rotor fades behind the ridge. The air shifts warmer as sunrise breaks the fog, reflecting off armor and wet stone. Hale moves beside the medevac Humvee, ensuring cables stay clear of tire tracks. The air smells of diesel and burned dust. She raises her eyes to the ridgeline, where daylight fractures through mist. Nothing moves beyond the convoy perimeter. The situation holds. She keys her mic again. Convoy 2. Reporting extraction in progress. All personnel accounted for. 2 wounded stabilized. Data integrity holds across all uplinks. She returns to her tablet. The transmission queue completes final upload. 100% file transfer. The validation icon glows green. She adds the last entry record stream archived. The TOC operator confirms receipt on main net copy all. Recovery report acknowledged. Hale responds. Copy. All records mirrored locally. She disconnects the cable, coils it neatly, and secures the port cover. Her movements remain deliberate, mechanical, quiet. Convoy position 4 miles from ridge exit. The sun rises higher, burning off the remaining haze. Heat shimmer starts to lift from metal surfaces. The team moves the last of the equipment, locking straps and clearing debris from the roadway. Hale climbs into her vehicle, headset connecting automatically to the internal net. Status report, she says. Voices return rear element clear, wrecker moving, med evac steady. She logs each response by time and order. The convoy inches forward, tires gripping through soft clay. Transmission continuity verified at 85%. The operations duty officer speaks again over high band. Captain Hale. Recovery report uploaded to system archive. Adjusted sitrep in progress. She listens without expression. The words confirm what the data already ensured. The record exists. Her voice remains calm. Acknowledged. Convoy departing recovery site under revised conditions. She closes her notebook and seals it in a plastic sleeve. The pages inside are streaked with water but legible. Each line of ink a physical backup of the digital stream. Fuel clock reads 30 minutes remaining. The ridge above them glows in full daylight. A single rotor thumps beyond visual range. Escort bird repositioning for overwatch. Hale watches the horizon, eyes narrow behind dust lenses. She calls to the sergeant. Maintain line discipline. Steady throttle. Hold comms. Quiet. He nods. The convoy continues its slow climb toward higher ground. The medical Humvee remains centered in formation, suspension flexing with each rise. Convoy spacing steady at 40 yards. The data feed hums in her earpiece, background static merging with the rhythmic pulse of engines. She tracks location markers on her display, each vehicle transmitting green. The uplink confirms full system replication, every byte of proof now duplicated beyond alteration. She marks the final entry in the operational log extraction underway. Archive verification complete. Data replication confirmed across network. Her last transmission to command carries no emotion. Captain Hale reporting recovery complete under revised authorization. All evidence transmitted. The acknowledgement comes through seconds later. The operations duty officer's tone formal. Copy. Captain. Your report stands. Archive locked. Engines climb in unison as the convoy clears the valley floor. Dust trails behind in thin lines, dissipating under early heat. Hale keeps one hand on the console, eyes forward, expression fixed. She records a final note to herself, voice steady, mission record preserved in full. No further action pending review. The convoy crests the ridge, sunlight strikes the metal, and the noise of the engines softens under wind. Behind them, the downed aircraft burns to ash. Ahead, the route stretches open. The recovery file remains live across every system node, uneditable, permanent. 0600 hours. The valley stands quiet under early light. Smoke thins above the wreck, drifting east with the wind. The engines of the convoy idle at low RPM, steady and even. Captain Erin Hale steps from her vehicle and sets her helmet on the hood. Her gloves are marked with dust and graphite from the logbook. She opens the cover, reviews each page, and signs at the bottom. Her name, rank, and time. Documented without comment. Transmission archive now marked complete. The tablet beside her syncs its final file, screen reflecting gray daylight. Each entry mirrors the record stored at higher. The data feed reads green across all nodes. She confirms integrity, closes the device, and places it with the sealed log. The operations duty officer transmits acknowledgement recovery record received. Status verified. Her response is simple. Copy. No further transmission follows. The field is silent except for the wind moving through the valley as pages settle. Convoy secured at perimeter checkpoint. 6 miles back to the forward gate. The route is clear. The med-evac Humvee holds steady, wounded stable and accounted for. Hale checks once more on the manifest. No omissions. No unverified entries. She locks her logbook inside the report case and hands it to the courier. The paperwork carries the stamp she requested. Black ink. Single word received. Engines downshift as reports upload through the network. The valley hum fades to background noise. Hale watches the wreck one last time, its outline almost gone in the morning glare. Proof is discipline. Wind crosses the open terrain, lifting dust from the tracks. No orders contested, no actions erased. She did not disobey. She obeyed accountability. The record stands. Procedure holds. The institution remains intact. 0630 hours. Dawn settles across the base perimeter. The air is dry and still, carrying the faint echo of a departing rotor. Convoy vehicles cool in formation, their metal ticking as heat fades from engines. A line of paperwork waits on a folding table. The top page, clipped with the label, After Action. Pending. A keyboard clicks in sync with a fading rotor echo. The light catches the edges of stacked reports, ink drying under the open hangar roof. Archive upload reports complete. Captain Erin Hale's documentation is filed. Her duty concluded under lawful command. The perimeter lights dim from amber to green. A gate opens to the outer road as ground crews reset positions for the next rotation. Her record stands inside the system. Every timestamp verified, every order accounted for. Perimeter security resets to green status. Report or record. When higher tells you to withdraw, do you follow the lawful order or stay and document the mistake? Choose in the comments. Lawful exit or documented proof. 0800 hours. Daylight levels the valley floor. The convoy moves along the outer road at 30 miles per hour, engines running cool under clear sky. The last smoke column fades behind them, leaving only dust trailing across the asphalt. Fuel readings return to nominal. A single radio click confirms the channel clear. Wind slides across the empty highway and carries the sound of gears shifting back into cruise. The lead vehicle reports full system function and steady formation spacing. Signal traffic returns to baseline. Inside the operations feed, the mission file closes with verified timestamps. The waveform display flattens to silence. A clerk keys the final line. Record archived. Complete. Hale's name remains attached to the entry. Confirmed at higher. Archive confirmation logged at 0800 hours. Next mission waiting. Like, subscribe, and remain with the record. The next verified operation is already standing by for review.